Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Nick again. Today I'm going to be presenting in a new format, which I hope you will find interesting. Hopefully this will be informative. It's going to be a little bit different than what I've done up to this point. Today I saw a meme about, basically it said that if you disagree with how I see the world and how I interpret certain policy actions, that we have a disagreement in terms of morality. And I think that the person who made this meme is probably correct. There is a difference in morality here. And I think it's important, it would behoove all of us to explore what these differences are and hopefully develop an appreciation for them. Because it's when you don't understand the legitimate nature of individual morality that a lot of the bad things that are part of our politics today and our decision making and the way we interact with each other has been brought to the fore. So let's get started here. We're going to talk about moral foundations theory. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this, it's a discussion about what are the fundamental building blocks of morality. And we refer to these building blocks or these perspectives as the moral foundations. And there are 6 of them. Care and harm, fairness, cheating, loyalty and betrayal, the authority and subversion, sanctity and degradation, and liberty/oppression. Now, each of these moral foundations does come from a certain legitimate basis in seeing the world, trying to address a certain type of concern, and fills a very important role in society. And these moral foundations are fundamental to our way we see the world and how we view the world and how we interact in that world. A lot of the problems we're having today in terms of disagreeing on moral grounds is that it leads to intractable conflicts that are not easily worked through because they are based on completely different perspectives. They're different intuitions. What I believe is right and wrong may not at all correspond to what you see as right and wrong. And it's to that point, if you haven't had a chance to be familiarized with these other foundations, is that you can get to the point where you do not even understand how anybody can hold a different moral intuition. And that gets to be very dangerous. The reason why is that it creates an empathy gap. It leads people of different moral worldviews to have a distance and a coldness of people who do not have similar moral perspectives. Now, this results, if taken to an extreme and unhealthy way, to have this intergroup violence be much more likely. The reason why is that as we get to interact with these people and do not comprehend how they figure this as moral, it's easy to make the judgment that these people who I disagree with are not even deserving of moral rights. And that's terribly destructive. It destroys any type of trust that you may have in other people, and it's really quite dangerous. And I think we're getting closer to that every day. So let's discuss these moral foundations. The first one, which most of us we're all familiar with this one. It's by far the most common foundation in Western society. It's the Care and Harm Foundation. The Care and Harm Foundation is concerned with protecting and caring for society and all of its members. When you are subscribing to the Care and Harm Foundation, most of your behaviors consist of promoting universal caring. Without regard to how close the person is to you, you want to have people to be protected, and you want to have the amount of harm and cruelty in the world kept to a minimum. Very laudable goals, very wonderful people, and by far the most common in Western society. And the reason for that, why it's so common in Western society, probably has a lot to do with the association with Christianity, as well as the liberal tradition which has been built over centuries and centuries in Western society. It's common in other parts of the world too, but it's unusually common here in the West. The second foundation is the fairness and cheating foundation. People who are concerned with fairness and cheating are mostly concerned with fairness and justice. Now, this results in a number of different behaviors, and they are not the same. Let's go ahead and discuss them. Promoting equality. Everybody gets treated the same way. They all have the same access to resources. No one is treated any differently for any reason, whether those are legitimate or not. The Fairness and Cheating Foundation appreciates fair play, that you're following the rules, that the rules are fair and they're not shifted toward any one group or against any other group. And then finally, proportional treatment. This definition of fairness is a little bit different. Basically, it says that people are appreciated in accordance with their contributions. So if one person is putting an unusual amount of effort or is able to do creative things, this person should naturally have more resources, more rewards, more status in society than someone who's not contributing as much. So the fairness from the equality standpoint and the fairness from the proportionality standpoint, those are not the same. And that does impact people's worldview substantially. We'll discuss it later on. The next foundation is loyalty and betrayal. The concern of people with this foundation is the promotion of social trust. And when you're talking about these individuals, they care about the in-group. And that grows depending upon what level of analysis you're at. So you care about your family. Then you care about your community. Then you care about your nation. And finally, you care about the world. But you care about those in the hierarchy. The closer they are to you, the more you are concerned with their welfare before the other levels of in-group. These people often will exhibit patriotism. And when people either are outside the group or if they leave the group, they are often characterized by the persecution of heretics. And this can be done passively. It could be done actively. And I'm sure we all can think about ways this is done. A lot of them are not very nice. So let's move forward with that. The next moral foundation is the authority foundation. The consideration of those who subscribe to authority / subversion is the maintenance of social order. These people realize that a hierarchy, presuming it's legitimate, is what binds society together. It gives it some structure, some order. If that went away, a lot of the internal stresses that come with a large group of people doing different things and having different ideas could rip society apart. So these people care about obedience. They follow laws. They revere rules, regulations, and orders, and norms, often unstated norms. They care about trying to keep things in the status quo and understanding that there's somebody in charge that can navigate the ship of society. The next moral foundation is sanctity. And when I say this one, a lot of folks will think about religion as a natural foundation for association with sanctity. And absolutely you're right. But the idea behind sanctity is that it maintains social purity. And this could be done in a religious context, but not always. But these individuals will promote self-regulation and self-restraint. They believe that if they give in to their more base impulses, or they flout and throw caution to the wind and just go and they let those boundaries of restraint erode. If everybody does that, then we're going to have chaos. So they care about maintaining internal integrity and control of their more base desires. They care about elevating things. This means trying to find a way to make things more holy. You can think about what a big example that's emerged in the past 20 years or so is a lot of the more move toward natural products, free range beef and livestock and poultry, to the move toward getting away from traditional prescribed medicines and move more toward natural alternatives. It's a way to cleanse yourself of a lot of these artificial medicines and to become more aligned with nature. This is an idea of being elevating, viewing things with a sense of goodness or worth that it normally wouldn't have. We think about in a religious context, a piece of wood with a statue on it is one thing, but we look at it as a symbol of a crucifixion of Jesus. It takes a lot more of a moral spirit to it, and this is an idea about imbuing things that logic and reason would suggest that they don't have much additional worth beyond what you see in front of you, but you can create it's a perception and in a belief that there's something more to it than that. And then finally, it's about condemning wickedness. Anything that pushes against whatever you've sacralized, whatever you have made holy, is going to be condemned as wicked. And this comes in a lot of different manifestations. Salem witch trials is one way of doing it, but it's also about the anti-vax movement, things like that. You're trying to, you look down upon the things that are in opposition to the natural thing. And then finally, the last moral foundation is liberty and oppression. Now, this was added later on, as far as not from the original moral foundations theory papers. It emerged later through evaluation of the data. So you'll see some of the drawings in the following, in the subsequent slides don't really describe this separately, but that's why it's not there. So here's liberty and oppression. The primary concern is about maintaining freedom, and characterized by people who resist social controls and actively are suspicious and question authority. These people are concerned about keeping people free. They understand that hierarchies tend to try to corrode their power, and it's probably a good idea to have people who are always pushing against that. So those are the 6 moral foundations. Now, the platform upon which I'm doing this has a 15-minute time limit, so we're going to end this part of the discussion now, and we'll pick it up in part 2.